Most shooters think old calibers are dead weight, and that mistake costs them meat in the freezer. They chase speed charts. They worship ballistic coefficients. They act like every deer is standing at 700 yards on a windless ridge. But step into thick timber, drop the range inside 100 yards, and suddenly those shiny modern wonder rounds start looking a whole lot less magical. Because in the real world, where clean shooting lanes are short, shots happen fast, and heavy bone does not care about internet hype. Momentum still matters. So today, we are digging into 5 forgotten calibers that suddenly came roaring back in 2026. And the #1 pick is gonna make a lot of Creedmoor fanboys choke on their coffee. At number 5, the 4570 Government. Look, this thing is not new. It is not sleek. It is not trying to win some internet velocity contest. This cartridge showed up in the 1870s, back when rifles were heavy. Men carried leather instead of polymer, and nobody cared about ballistic coefficient charts printed on a hoodie. But here is the deal. In 2026, the 4570 is not just surviving, it is eating. And the reason is simple: momentum. The 4570 does not win by screaming fast. It wins by throwing a heavy chunk of lead with the attitude of a freight train rolling through wet timber. Most modern cartridges depend on speed. They want rapid expansion. They want high impact velocity. They want the bullet moving fast enough to create dramatic energy transfer. The 4570 is different. It crushes. It pushes massive 300 grain, 325 grain, and 400 grain bullets downrange at moderate speed. And that big frontal diameter does the ugly work without asking permission. That matters in tight timber, where shots are close and clean lanes are short. I am not telling you to shoot through brush. No responsible hunter does that. Every bullet can deflect. But when you have a clean, close-range shot, this old cartridge brings serious authority. Inside 100 yards on deer, hogs, black bear, and big-bodied woods game, this cartridge hits with the kind of close-range performance that makes tracking jobs a whole lot shorter. Now let's talk mechanics. The magic here is the straight wall case and the huge internal volume. That case gives hand loaders and factory ammo makers room to run heavy bullets without needing ridiculous pressure. In modern lever guns, especially threaded barrel setups, the 4570 becomes a suppressor-friendly hammer. Load it subsonic with a heavy projectile, run it through a can, and suddenly you have a quiet, close-range hunting rig that still carries real mass into the target. That is why this old warhorse is back. Not because guys are nostalgic, because it solves a modern problem. Short barrels, suppressors, thick timber, hard-hitting close-range performance. But it has a deal breaker: trajectory. This thing drops like a cinder block thrown off a barn roof once you start stretching distance. Past 200 yards, you better know your holds, know your ammo, and stop pretending this is some flat-shooting Western Ridge cartridge. The recoil is not polite either. With hotter hunting loads, it does not tap your shoulder. It shoves you like an angry lineman who just found out you scratched his truck. Still, when used inside its lane, the 4570 Government is a monster. The wallet test is mixed. Basic loads are not always cheap, and premium hunting ammo can set you back real money. But unlike some boutique cartridges, you can still find support from major manufacturers, and the lever action boom has kept it alive on shelves. The gel test picture is easy. A good, modern, expanding bullet punches in wide, opens fast, and drives a deep wound channel with heavy mass retention. It is not a needle. It is a wrecking ball with rifling marks. And listen, this is solid, But wait until you see the old Woods cartridge sitting at number 1, because that one does something even crazier. It can outperform modern hype rounds inside the short timber distances where many American hunters actually take their shots. At number 4, the 9.3 by 62 Mauser. Now we get serious. This is one of those cartridges that American shooters ignored for way too long because it did not have Magnum stamped on the box. Big mistake. The 9.3 by 62 was born in Europe, built for hard country, ugly weather, and animals that do not care how expensive your rifle scope is. It was designed to run in a standard length Mauser action. And that right there is the secret sauce. You do not need a giant Magnum receiver. You do not need a rifle that feels like carrying a fence post through the woods. You get big bore authority in a rifle that still handles like a normal hunting gun. The specs tell the story. This round usually feeds on heavy 286 grain bullets, and those bullets move with enough speed to hit hard without punishing the shooter like a full-house dangerous game Magnum. It is not trying to be a laser beam. It is trying to drive a heavy bullet straight, deep, and clean through thick muscle and heavy bone. That is why European hunters trusted it for massive game long before most American shooters even learned how to pronounce it. The gel test is not pretty. A good bonded or monolithic bullet from the 9.3 by 62 does not explode on the surface like some screaming fast lightweight projectile. It opens under control. It keeps its weight. Then it keeps digging. That is the whole point. You get a wide wound channel, deep penetration, and the kind of terminal performance that makes sense on moose, elk, big hogs, and heavy-bodied game inside realistic hunting distance. Under the hood, the mechanism that matters is case efficiency. The 9.3 by 62 uses a non-belted case that fits standard bolt-action magazines, and that gives it smooth feeding with less wasted rifle weight. Compared to older belted Magnums, you are not dragging around extra action length just to prove something at the gun counter. The pressure curve is also reasonable. That means less violent recoil, less blast, and better control for a second shot if the first one does not land perfectly. Honestly, that is what separates real hunting cartridges from fantasy cartridges. A cartridge that lets you shoot accurately beats a cartridge that makes you flinch before the trigger breaks. The recoil here is firm, but it is not chaos. More of a heavy shove from a grown man than a slap from an angry mule. The deal breaker is availability. This is not 9mm at a big box store. Depending on where you live, finding factory ammo can still be annoying, and premium loads can sting your wallet pretty hard. The damage to your wallet is usually higher than common American hunting rounds, and if you do not reload, you are living at the mercy of whatever your local shelves decide to offer that month. That matters. A great cartridge is less useful if you cannot keep it fed. But in 2026, the 9.3 by 62 is finally getting the respect it should have had all along. Modern bullet construction changed the game. Bonded cores, monolithic copper, better powders, and improved factory loads turned this old European heavyweight into a brutally practical modern hunting round. Not flashy, not trendy, just efficient. If the 4570 is the blunt hammer of the brushwoods, the 9.3 by 62 is the old World War axe. Cleaner reach, better sectional density, more elegance, and when the shot is close, the animal is big and the terrain is nasty. This thing does not ask for attention, it just goes to work. At number 3, the 7x57 Mauser, entering the elite tier now. This is where the list stops being about brute force and starts being about balance. The 7x57 Mauser is one of those cartridges that makes loud guys uncomfortable because it does not need speed worship, giant muzzle blast, or shoulder-breaking recoil to get real work done. It was born in the 1890s, and somehow, more than a century later, it still teaches modern hunters a lesson they keep forgetting. Shot placement beats punishment. Penetration beats paper numbers. And a cartridge you can actually shoot well is worth more than a magnum you secretly hate practicing with. The specs are not flashy by modern internet standards. The 7x57 usually slings 140 grain to 175 grain bullets downrange at moderate speed. But those bullets are long for their diameter. That means high sectional density. And sectional density is not just a nerd term. It is the reason a bullet keeps driving straight instead of coming apart too early or wasting energy on surface drama. In the gel test, a proper hunting bullet from this cartridge does not make some cartoon explosion. It slips in clean. It expands with control. Then it keeps pushing through the block like a narrow steel wedge, splitting seasoned oak. That is exactly why this round built such a serious reputation on deer, antelope, hogs, and even larger game when placed correctly. Under the hood, the mechanism that matters is case geometry. The 7x57 uses a long, tapered case with enough powder capacity to move heavy for caliber bullets efficiently without needing violent pressure. That smooth pressure curve helps with mild recoil, and mild recoil helps the shooter stay behind the rifle. You see the hit, you cycle the bolt clean. You stay mentally present instead of blinking, flinching, and wondering if your collarbone is still attached. A lot of modern magnums technically hit harder, sure, but they also punish the shooter harder, burn more powder, make more noise, and destroy more meat when the shot is close. The 7x57 does not act like that. It behaves like an old hunting knife with a perfect edge. Quiet confidence, no wasted movement, no drama. The deal breaker is performance ceiling. This is not the cartridge for the guy trying to stretch every shot across a canyon in bad wind. Modern high ballistic coefficient rounds beat it at true long range, especially when you start pushing past 400 or 500 yards. Factory ammo can also be conservative because older rifles still exist out there. That means some loads are held back, and if you want the full potential, you may need a modern rifle and careful ammunition selection. The wallet test depends on how deep you are into the cartridge. Common loads are not always sitting next to 30.06 and 3.08 on every shelf. Boutique hunting ammo can cost more than casual shooters expect, but the payoff is real. Low recoil, deep penetration, excellent field accuracy, long barrel life, and a calm shooting experience that makes good hunters look even better. I know the fanboys will hate this, but sound off below if you would rather carry a mild cartridge you shoot like a tack driver than a magnum that turns you into a flinching mess. Because that is the truth of the 7x57 Mauser. It is not back because it is cute. It is back because practical hunters are remembering that efficiency never went out of style. At number 2, the 257 Roberts, closer to the crown now. And this one is going to confuse guys who think every combat caliber has to be some giant shoulder cannon. Because the 257 Roberts is not a bruiser. It is not a bear stopper. It is not some chest-thumping magnum built for men who measure recoil like a personality test. This cartridge came back in 2026 for a smarter reason. It is easy to shoot, and honestly, easy to shoot is dangerous in the hands of someone who knows what they are doing. The 257 Roberts was built from the 7x57 Mauser case. neck down to throw quarter-bore bullets with clean efficiency. That design gives it a sweet pressure curve, mild recoil, and enough case capacity to send light and medium hunting bullets with real precision. It is the kind of round that does not beat you up during practice. And because it does not beat you up, you practice more. Because you practice more, you shoot better. That is not marketing, that is math. The specs make sense for deer, antelope, coyotes, and lighter-bodied game. With modern bullets, the .257 Roberts gives you enough velocity for clean expansion, but not so much violence that it turns good meat into red soup. A good 100 grain or 115 grain hunting bullet carries plenty of punch for sane hunting distances, especially when the shooter does his part. In gel, this round behaves like a sharp little spear. It does not bulldoze like the .45-70. It does not drive like the 9.3 by 62. Instead, it opens clean, tracks straight, and cuts a narrow but efficient wound channel with just enough expansion to matter. That is the whole appeal. Control, precision, confidence. Under the hood, the real mechanism is bore efficiency. That quarter-bore bullet gives you a useful mix of speed and low recoil without demanding a massive powder charge. The cartridge burns powder smoothly, does not hammer the throat like the hot rod magnums, and gives hunters long barrel life with consistent accuracy. That matters more than people admit.
Let her
A
fly,
rifle
Bailey.
that keeps shooting well after
Ready?
years of use is not boring. It is valuable. The recoil is almost polite, not weak, just controlled. More like a firm handshake from a rancher than a punch from a drunk uncle at Thanksgiving. And that calm recoil lets you stay in the scope, watch the impact, and make a fast correction if the animal moves or the wind lies to you. The deal breaker is perception. A lot of shooters look at the .257 Roberts and think it is outdated, underpowered, or just too soft for serious use. That is the curse of this cartridge. It does not sound intimidating at the gun counter. It does not make a big fireball. It does not give your buddy a concussion under the covered range. So the loud crowd ignores it. Factory ammo is not as common as mainstream rounds like .243, 6.5 Creedmoor, or .308. The damage to your wallet can get annoying if you are buying premium loads. And if your local shop does not support classic cartridges, you may be ordering online or hand-loading. But here is the truth. The .257 Roberts came back because modern hunters are tired of punishment. They want rifles that carry light, recoil soft, shoot straight, and still put venison in the freezer. This cartridge checks those boxes with old-school manners and modern bullet performance. It is not the biggest hitter on this list. It is not the most dramatic. But for the hunter who values precision over ego, the .257 Roberts is one of the cleanest comebacks of 2026.
Now, what do we say?
At number 1, the .35 Remington. The crown goes to the old woodsman's secret weapon. And yeah, I know some people are already mad, because this is not a new cartridge. It is not sexy. It does not have a tactical name. It does not wear a giant marketing campaign around its neck. But in 2026, the .35 Remington came back for one brutal reason. It does the job where many hunters actually hunt. Inside thick timber, inside swamp edges, inside hardwood funnels, inside 100 yards, where the shot is fast, the window is small, and the animal does not stand there waiting for you to check a ballistic act. This cartridge was introduced back in 1906, and it was originally built for the Remington Model 8 autoloader. That matters, because the .35 Remington was not designed like some fragile target round. It was built to cycle fast, feed smooth, and hit hard from practical field rifles. The case is rimless, compact, and moderate pressure. That gives it a soft enough operating character for older platforms, while still pushing a big .35 caliber bullet with authority. The technical magic is the balance between bullet diameter, neck tension, and pressure. The .35 Remington uses a wide .35 caliber projectile with enough frontal area to crush tissue, while the cartridge itself runs at conservative pressure. That means you are not abusing the rifle. You are not burning barrels like a hot rod magnum. You are not making a thunderclap just to take a deer at 70 yards. Instead, you get a short, handy rifle that points fast and sends a heavy bullet with real authority. Now compare it to number 2, the .257 Roberts. The Roberts is smoother, flatter, and easier to shoot. No argument there. But when the woods get dark and the target is a heavy-bodied buck quartering through a clean lane in the timber, the .35 Remington brings more frontal diameter and more close-range authority. The Roberts is a clean little scalpel. The .35 Remington is a short-handled splitting maul. Now compare it to number 5, the .45-70 Government. The .45-70 hits harder, absolutely, but it also kicks harder, drops faster, and can feel like too much gun for normal deer woods. The .35 Remington gives you a smarter middle ground, more punch than the classic .30-30 class, less punishment than the big bore lever cannons. That is exactly why it takes the throne. It is not the strongest cartridge here. It is not the flattest. It is the most practical comeback for the way a lot of real hunters actually fill tags. With modern ammunition, this old round got a second life. The old round nose loads were effective, but they arced hard and lost steam fast. Modern polymer-tipped lever gun bullets changed that. A 200-grain flex-tip style bullet lets the .35 Remington fly cleaner, hold speed better, and stretch its useful range without losing the close-range hammer effect that made it famous. In the gel test, this one is nasty. The bullet enters with a wide frontal profile, expands early, and drives a thick, permanent wound channel without acting like a fragile varmint round. It does not depend on extreme speed to work. It depends on weight, diameter, and controlled expansion. That is why it performs so well on whitetail, black bear, hogs, and heavy woods game. It is not just punching paper. It is built for meat in the freezer. The recoil is honest but manageable, more like a hard shove from a wooden gate than a sharp punch to the collarbone. That matters because a hunter who stays calm behind the rifle makes better shots. A hunter who makes better shots does not need to brag about muzzle energy on the internet. He just walks up to his animal. The wallet test is the one ugly part. Ammo can still be spotty. Some shops treat .35 Remington like a museum piece, and when good hunting loads show up, they do not always sit there long. So yeah, if you run this cartridge, you better buy smart, stock up when you can, or learn to hand load. But that is the only real complaint, and even with that annoyance, the .35 Remington wins because it exposes the lie behind modern caliber hype. The 6.5 Creedmoor is excellent in its lane. Open country, longer shots, low recoil, high ballistic coefficient. Fine. Out in open country, the 6.5 Creedmoor still owns the flatter, cleaner long-range lane, but that is not the game the .35 Remington is playing. In tight woods, inside realistic hunting distance, that sleek little bullet does not automatically matter more than a heavy .35 caliber slug hitting with authority. The .35 Remington beats the hype by refusing to play the wrong game. It does not need 700 yards. It does not need a 26-inch barrel. It does not need a shooter pretending every deer hunt is a sniper match. It just needs a clean lane through the timber and a hunter who knows when to send it downrange. That is why the .35 Remington is the #1 forgotten caliber suddenly back in 2026. Because it is old, because it is simple, because it works, And because after all the marketing smoke clears, the woods still reward the cartridge that hits hard, carries easy, and brings animals down without drama. So there it is, 5 forgotten calibers that came crawling out of the back corner of the gun safe and started embarrassing modern marketing departments in 2026. The 4570 government proved that raw momentum still has a place when the woods get thick and the distance gets short. The 9.3 by 62 Mauser reminded everybody that a standard length rifle can still deliver heavyweight authority without needing a Magnum ego trip. The 7 by 57 Mauser showed why balance, sectional density, and mild recoil still matter more than flashy numbers on a box. The 257 Roberts came back as the gentleman's deer round, soft shooting, accurate, efficient, and smarter than most people give it credit for. But the 35 Remington took the crown. Not because it is new, not because it is fast, not because influencers suddenly discovered it and slapped it on a thumbnail. It wins because it fits the real world. Short rifles, dark timber, fast shots, heavy bullets, manageable recoil. Real terminal performance inside the distance where many hunters actually pull the trigger. And that is the lesson here. The best caliber is not always the newest one. It is not always the fastest one. It is not always the one with the flattest chart or the loudest fan club. The best caliber is the one that matches the mission. If you hunt wide open country, sure, run your high ballistic coefficient speed demon. But if you hunt hardwoods, creek bottoms, swamp trails, hog cuts, and tight mountain timber, do not laugh at the old stuff, because some of those forgotten rounds were designed by people who actually understood field conditions before marketing departments got involved. They were built when hunters had to stalk closer. They were built when rifles had to feed smoothly. They were built when a cartridge had to hit hard, penetrate deep, and bring meat home without excuses. That kind of engineering does not expire. It just waits for people to remember. So before you chase the next shiny caliber trend, ask yourself one question. Are you buying performance or are you buying hype? Because in 2026, the old dogs are biting back. Train hard, stay safe, and I will see you downrange.